What is up, dudettes and dudes? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Noise the Pod with Stephen Cohen here. He is the co-founder of Sunder with another episode of Life by Design. We trust. So Stephen Cohen is the co-founder of Sunder. He's made millions of dollars. He scaled sales forces, strong leadership skills, sales skills, powerful business skills, and he is stationed in Las Vegas. He's lived in Las Vegas right now. Went to college. Afterwards, started getting into I think like a marketing agency for like a social media agencies. And then from there, you started developing more of like your growth hacks and your entrepreneurship mindset that allowed you to get to where you're at now and continuously going with momentum into bigger and bigger and bigger things. So I'm just really happy to have you on, dude. I don't know if you want to share a little bit about yourself, kind of like your story, your journey, some best practices of like how you broke out of the mindset from, you know, being in college, then like entrepreneurship, kind of like remaking the rules, finding out that they were made by people just like you and me, uh, and then just being able to just go to the moon with that because there's no limit really.
Absolutely, man. No, I appreciate the invite, man. Thank you for having me on, man. Appreciate being here. Yeah, you pretty much hit it spot on the head. So my name's Stephen Cohen, 28 years old. I'm out here in the 702 Las Vegas, Nevada, for those of you guys that have probably visited here before. And yeah, man, I'm just an average dude that had above average goals and dreams. Before I got into entrepreneurship about a decade ago, which is pretty crazy to say, I got involved when I was around like 19 or 20. Like many of you guys, probably a lot of your listeners, just kind of going to college, doing your thing. I was always sold on the dream that college is supposed to be the best 4 years of your life. So after high school, went into college, joined a fraternity because I wanted that whole college experience. I'm sure you've been to Vegas, a lot of your listeners, it's very easy to kind of get lost in the sauce out here. I remember having a fake ID when I was like 19, 20, going to clubs, seeing the Lesso, with free table, bottle service, all these different things. And I quickly realized that all I was really doing was focusing on partying and girls, which at the time I was okay with. But for me, I've always had really big goals and dreams. I've really had big aspirations to take care of my family. That's always kind of been my why. And I realized that what I was doing on a daily basis wasn't congruent to where I wanted to be. Partying, drinking, just hanging out with my broke college friends that didn't even know why they were going to college to begin with wasn't going to allow me to be able to retire my parents early, live my dream life, and et cetera. So thankfully, about a decade ago, I got introduced to the concept of entrepreneurship, and it completely shifted my life. I went from focusing solely on college, girls, partying, to learning about communications, learning about personal development, being mindful of the information going into my mind, changing my circle of influence, changing the people that I'm listening to, developing sales, communication, public speaking, leadership. And my life changed, man. So for 3 years, I got introduced to network marketing. I did that. That was really the gateway into my entrepreneurial journey. I made no money for 3 years, but I developed a lot of the skill sets that I just spoke on. And I began to be the right person in order to really start taking my career seriously. And after network marketing didn't really work out, thankfully, a buddy of mine introduced me to the concept of solar, door to door. And at first, probably like a lot of people, door to door, I was like, whoa, I don't really know about that. I'm not Mormon. I never served a mission. So it was very foreign concept to me. But I've always been a very open-minded person. One of my mentors told me early on that the most expensive thing that you can own in this world is a closed mind, and it only works if it's open, kind of like a parachute. So I've always been open to opportunities. So I basically dived right in, and over the last 7 years, it's been pretty cool, man. I went from being a broke college student to be able to travel across the country. I've built teams in multiple different states, have organizations of hundreds of people, helped a ton of my own personal friends who started with me 7 years ago, make healthy six-figure incomes. And it's been awesome, man. From now till then, I feel like I'm a completely transformed person, same person, just more dimensions, more evolved. And, I'm nowhere near I want to be. I'm 28 years old. I'm on the path of entrepreneurship right now. There's no goal. There's no end game. It's more of who I'm becoming in the process, but just really excited to continue to pursue and hopefully share some wisdom with some of your listeners.
So you got into entrepreneurship around 2013, right? Around 2012, 2013, 2014. What are some of, I guess, the positive like things and beliefs that you started to shift about yourself that I guess could positively rub off on others? Because I think a lot of people will either go to college. I know Bradley dropped out of high school, but I know a lot of people will go to college traditionally and stuff. And it's like, what can some people like positively get for themselves? Because you've made millions of dollars now. You're a young dude. You're 27 years old, right? 27, 28. And it's just like, what are some positive beliefs that they can like that could rub off on other people that shifted for you, kind of like a mind shift?
Yeah.
Because that's like total like out of the box thinking when it's like job security. You get me? You're not on commission, right? And you this is like a completely different world of like, and then you didn't even make money for the first like 3 years, and it's just like then you're making millions of dollars now. You're the co-founder of Sunder, so one of the biggest like players right now, partner with Allstate, right? And then
Yeah.
with the Ford partnership with like Sunrun, and then with Freedom Forever, and you with like Max. So what are like what are some of those like positive things and like changes that I guess were individual to you, but could like that you've learned to maybe even speak to other people that you were training or building,
For
like the
sure.
audience? And I'm trying to get value out of this too, man.
Yeah.
Made
No, for
millions
sure,
already.
man. I think the biggest thing, man, is that like it really is possible because I think Big Sean talks about this in one of his videos, but he said something isn't real until you've experienced it or someone you're close to is experiencing it. So, like you, man, like you talked about, most people think that the only way to be successful is to come from a wealthy family or to have certain resources or opportunities given to them or go work the 40 grind, right? Work 40 hours a week for 40 years of your life to hopefully retire one day, off 1/4 of your income and then go on vacation a couple times and die. And that's what most people think of life. So for me, I really had to kind of unplug from the matrix. And what did it for me, I was actually on a Zoom call when I was on 23, 22 years old. I got on a Zoom call with some dude, his name was Derek Alexander at the time, living in Hawaii, making $30,000 a month from his cell phone. And I remember getting on the Zoom call with this guy. He was smoking a bong and basically telling me about this opportunity and how you can make much more money, and showed me his app where he made like close to $30,000 that month. So for me, that's all I needed to unplug from the matrix and realize like there's many ways that you could become successful, and the normal way of just how our parents made money and how our parents made money just isn't accurate anymore. We're in the 21st century. There's so much opportunity out there that wasn't available to the generations before us. So the biggest shift that I had to make was actually getting my belief level to the fact that like, hey, there's other opportunities out there. It's almost kind of like when you experience something and then you're never able to kind of go back to what you previously thought was possible. So for me, it's getting around people, getting around the experience, getting around an opportunity, a platform, a community who is actually crushing it, who's actually like living their dreams and on pursuit of their goals and what they want out of their life. Because once you see someone, if someone can do it, I can do it. I'm a firm believer. But if you don't have real evidence, if you don't know someone or you haven't been exposed to someone who's actually crushing it at a high level, the unorthodox way, then you may not have the confidence, the faith, the hope in order to pursue that because you're not sure if it's actually something real or not. So I think belief is probably the number one thing for me, just believing that there's another road that, hey, most people, my friends, my family, my coworkers, the people in my fraternity were telling me to go this route, go to college, go get a real job, go do the whole 40 plan. But just knowing that there was another path and seeing it clearly because I was exposed to someone that walked that path gave me the confidence to realize, hey, there is a choice that I need to make. And as long as I make the choice that I believe in and that in my gut and my intuition tells me it's the right thing, then it doesn't matter how long it takes for me to get there. It doesn't matter what obstacles come, because as long as you can hold on to that idea, that concept, that ideal, you're going to get there eventually, but it's just going to take time and dedication. But for people that aren't exposed to that, for people that have never seen that, it's going to take a lot more courage because there's no proof of concept.
So for you, okay, so you got exposed to that guy, and I'm sure you've exposed a lot of other people throughout the company. I went to a leadership training that was hosted in the company. I know you guys are always trying to do a lot of positive things with incentives and rewards. And I guess when it comes to D2D, what are some things that allowed you to really master that skill set, man? Because you've really taken that skill set to a really high level. Not only that, but with leadership, you're recruiting, that's a strong aspect. And then you're scaling it. You have systems, you have processes. Like what was your journey once you started to develop that mindset where it's like, okay, this is actually possible, at any level, at any ways, you're starting to see people from all walks of life because the internet just brought the world so much more inclusively. Um, so when it comes to just like the world itself and bringing the best versions of the people that are peak performances and they're adding value to the world, just essentially, how is it like for you that you were able to just crack that skill set for like knocking doors and the transition towards like wanting to get good at knocking doors? Because you didn't make money for 3 years, but you developed a lot of skills, and then you became the co-founder of this company. I love cats.
Yeah, bro, a lot of cats. Yeah, man. Great question. So I think it's really important to get clear and understand why you're doing something. After I kind of transitioned out of my previous venture with network marketing, I had all these skill sets and I had this, high identity, high mindset, high belief, but my bank account still reflected a broke college student. I didn't have any results. So coming into the next venture, even though I felt like I had all these skills and confidence, I truly didn't believe it because I haven't experienced real money. Yeah, like probably a lot of people, you work hard at something and maybe you're not seeing the results you want. So you start to kind of question whether or not you're on that right path, or you should turn around and, do something else. So for me with door to door, I think it's understanding why you're doing something. You have to have a good end game. So there's a concept that I learned. It's called building versus vision oriented building. And this can apply to anything, whether it's you're building, school, you're building your teacher degree, you're building a business, a nonprofit, a charity, a church, whatever organization or whatever vehicle you're building, this can apply to. So random building is just, hey, I'm knocking doors just to knock doors. I'm giving presentations just to give presentations. I'm out there in 115-degree weather, knocking, getting no's, and that's all that I'm getting from that experience, the actual result. Vision-oriented building says, hey, every door that I knock, I know I'm getting that much closer to retiring with my parents. Every failed credit that I get, I know I'm getting that much closer to maximizing my potential and see the income. They did a interview with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they basically asked him, they're like, Arnold, you're so successful, you're the governor, you're an actor, you're a super successful bodybuilder. Like, how did you do all that? Wasn't it hard? Didn't you lose sleep? Didn't it take time? Every, weight, didn't you get sore? And he said, of course, I'm a normal person just like everyone else. But the difference between me and most people, every weight, every sore muscle, every meal that I wanted to eat, that I didn't want to eat that I did, I envisioned myself that much closer to my perfect body. So I think most people out there in life, they're just kind of drifting. They're kind of like a dead fish in the pond, right? Just kind of being taken wherever the current is leading them. When in reality, you have to get really clear and very intentional what you want out of life. For me, it was, hey, I know that I know this end game. I want to buy my parents a house. I want to retire my parents. I want time, financial freedom, all these certain things. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I didn't know it was solar. I didn't know it was door to door, but I knew that's what I wanted. That was my target. And I was going to continue to do whatever I needed to until I got there. And the crazy thing is when you make a stern commitment about what you want out of life, who you're going to be, what you're going to do, and you make a stern commitment, that burn the boats mentality, it's almost like the universe, God, whatever people believe in, get out of your way. They're like, yo, this dude's either going to, do it or die trying. We might as well just give it to him. And that's basically what happened. I knew why I was doing it. I was trying to become a better individual in the process. Most people don't realize this, but 2 years of door to door is equivalent to a bachelor's degree in communication. The things that you learn on the doors, rejection, grit, work ethic, holding yourself accountable, communication, nonverbals, tonality, all these things that we're learning and being exposed to on a daily basis. It doesn't matter if you make crazy money in door to door. You can go to any industry, any business, any organization, and be super valuable because you're becoming more valuable. And the thing is, you take yourself wherever you go. So it's more important about the individual that you're becoming, the skill set, the personality, the attitude, the communication skills, than the actual result that you're getting monetarily from the job. And I knew that going into it because, again, I did 3 years of network marketing with no experience, but I became a different person. So it was one, knowing what I was doing, knowing why I was doing it, not doing it just for the result, but doing it because I know I was becoming a better person in the process, and knowing that once I become that person, I'll be able to attract the money, the lifestyle that I'm trying to look for. Most people, we see it all the time. They join this industry and they have that instant gratification mindset where if they don't make a sale the first week, if they don't make a big paycheck, then they quit and they go back to whatever 9 to 5. But if you go spend $1 million at McDonald's, open up a McDonald's franchise, right? Most McDonald's franchises, most businesses don't make a profit for years. And you're investing time, energy, and actual money in order to get there. But most people don't treat this like an actual business. They treat it as a get rich quick, or they treat it as just something that they are trying to figure out. They're dabbling in it. Again, they're not clear. And that's why they're never able to really maximize it, because just like that business owner with McDonald's, you have to learn certain skill sets. You have to be tested. You have to put yourself in vulnerable situations in order to see what you're made of, to be able to get to that, that end result that you're looking for. So I think overall, man, it comes down to just getting clear. I knew what I wanted. I knew I was relentless. I wasn't going to quit. I didn't know I was going to make all the money that I did out of door to door. I just knew this was the next step in order to become the person that I needed to for the universe or God to give me whatever was next in my journey.
How did you develop, I guess, your confidence more as a sales professional and a leader? Because I know that's something that we're going to develop on the jobs, because you've probably had customers that just like all kinds of customers, right? Because it's door to door. Like I don't think anybody will experience customers unless you go to door, because you are like you experience all kinds of stuff. So there's all kinds of stories. I know Taylor McCarthy talked a lot about it. He's had people like chase him down, like all kinds of stuff, right? So
Very hostile.
it's and typically most people are just super nice to you, but some people could be super hostile. Yeah, it's just everything, And then with the 2 years of communication, that could be like a bachelor's degree, sharing that. What could somebody do when it's like they want to get more confident and they want to, because you have a lot of confidence. You've made millions of dollars. Like your identity, your self-image, it has to be up there. Like I'm always developing mine. I don't know what I don't know. I always tell people that, but I like being around people that inspire me because they're gonna level up because I'm always leveling up. And then pretty much everybody is just gonna continue to level up. So when it comes to just yourself, like telling somebody, like just myself, or really just for the audience, truly, that wants to just kind of cross that line, that hasn't been in entrepreneurship maybe for like the last like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, whatever it is. It's like what could that person just do to start like moving in that direction? Maybe they don't make money the first couple of years, or like how would somebody stay in the game from somebody that's made like 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, the co-founder of Sunder? That's
Yeah.
massive. Like that, you've had a lot of success, Mr. Cohen. Steven.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you. Yeah. So I think a big thing is realizing that confidence, conviction, all these skill sets that are important to success that most people would agree about. It's not something that like you're born with. It's not something that only like super talented people get. It's not something that is like fluid and elusive to people. It's something that 100% could be crafted, and it's a skill set, right? Just like dribbling a basketball, just like practicing free throws. If you practice free throws every single day for 3 months straight, it's impossible not to get good at free throws. But most people, they don't practice these things. They don't practice confidence. They don't practice conviction. They don't practice putting themselves in situations that they're not too sure will work out. And because of them even being vulnerable enough to put themselves in that situation, they gain the experience, the confidence for the next opportunity to be able to execute at a high level. So I think it's really important for people to realize, there's a good book by Carol, can't remember the last name. It's called Mindset, but it talks about the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. Unsuccessful people, they have a fixed mindset. Oh, I can never be like Steven. I can never be like Noah. I can never be like these people that are performing at a high level because I'm just not born that way. Where the growth mindset says, oh, this dude's legit, right? Like he's doing really well. I can be like that. I can develop my skill set. So they have the understanding that all these skills, all these traits of successful people in any aspect, sports, business, anything, it's something that's developed and it's a craft that has to be worked on daily. So that's the first thing. The second thing, so Ed Mylett talks about this and he talks about confidence. All confidence is self-trust. Self-confidence equals self-trust, right? So if I tell you, hey, I'm going to be on this podcast and I'm going to deliver to your audience and I no-show you, right? What just happened? You just lost trust in me, right? You just lost confidence because I just told you something and I didn't follow through with it. So the easiest way, I believe, to gain confidence is to keep the promises that you make, not to other people, but to yourself. And it starts small. I'm going to wake up at 7:30 this morning and read my book for 10 minutes. And you actually do it. I'm going to eat healthy today and not eat any cheat meals. And you actually do it. I'm going to knock doors from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., regardless of the result or lack of result. And you actually do it. And the thing is, as you continue to make these promises, keep these promises that you make to yourself, you're gaining a reputation with yourself that you're someone that follows through. I didn't have much confidence, low self-esteem, low social skills up until college. And it wasn't until I started crafting it and getting intentional about it and doing the things that I said I was going to do. Hey, I'm going to rush a fraternity and did it. Hey, I'm going to go talk to this girl and do it. Hey, I'm going to go do X, Y, and Z and do it. As little or as big as these things are, you start to gain that confidence because now you're building a reputation with yourself who's someone who follows through on the things that they say. So as you get to macro decisions, as the big things in life come up, you already have this whole resume of your self-identity of, hey, Steven's a follow-througher. He's someone that commits. He's someone that executes. I have self-trust with myself because I've created that reputation. Most people, they chip away at their confidence every time they declare something, every time they sell something. Hey, I'm going to go hit 8 this month. I'm going to go make $10,000 a month. I'm going to go do X, Y, and Z. And they don't put the action in to back it up. Now they're losing confidence because they're chipping away at that self-trust that they created with themselves.
That is solid. Okay. So, okay. And then when it comes to, I guess, just like scaling your sales force, how was it that you were from like what did you do, man? Like, did you just go through Carter University, man? Like, like what are some of like the things that people can potentially replicate and model if they go down the rabbit hole, which is more than, I'm sure, just like one thing here, one thing there. It's just a collective things. So like, what are some of those things like for you? Because like, you're scaling Sunder. Like, it's pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. So
Commissions are great, by the way. Thank you, by the way, Steve.
Thank Max. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I think the biggest thing, bro, is in order to attract people, you have to be attractive yourself. Before you see me today, with the car and the life and stuff, and just a disclaimer, I'm nowhere near I want to be, right? Like, this is just level 2 of a potential level 10. But I would think up until this point, the way that I've been able to get to where I've been immersed in success. I've been immersed in growth. I've immersed myself in these situations where for a very long time, I didn't have results. I didn't have success. So I had to continue to work really, really hard at it, work really, really hard on myself in order to be someone who someone would want to follow. So I would say for people that are looking to like build an organization, whether it's in solar, whether it's in door to door, whether it's, building a following on Instagram, like whatever it is, because whatever we do in life, we're going to need other people. I don't believe in the whole like self-made millionaire, because no one's really self-made, right? Everyone has had people around them, whether it's their family, friends, a mentor, colleagues who've supported them and that's helped them, become who they are. The quote goes, or the adage goes, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So you need other people around you in order to help accomplish the mission, accomplish the cause. But in order for those people to follow you, you have to become worth someone following. My whole philosophy always comes back to the internal. I believe external results, your bank account, your car you're driving, your house you're in, your success, your sales, whatever it is just a reflection of your internal world and what's going on inside. And it's a super empowering philosophy because you can't control what happens outside. I can't control if someone leaves my team. I can't control if a customer fails credit. I can't control if the homeowners are super mean to me today, right? I can't control if my girlfriend breaks up to me. I can't control the actual external, but I can control my response to what goes on. I can control my emotional state. I can control my attitude and how I respond. And most people, they go through life so reactionary, right? If I poke you, you're going to react versus maybe respond. Think consciously, okay, why did this happen? And then respond accordingly. So I think your philosophy and your composure and your mental state is really important. And if you don't have a bunch of people to lead, the first person you have to lead is yourself. You work on your confidence, like we just talked about. We work on your positivity, right? Your attitude is so important, right? Most people, they don't win in life simply because they have a pretty shitty attitude that was given to them by people unbeknownst to them, from their family, from their peers, their upraising. And if they don't take super mindful action, if they're not mindful of the operating systems that run our life, right? The internal programs that were planted in us from an early age, they're going to unconsciously go through their life and continue to see the same patterns of lack of success. So I think it's important to, one, be mindful, to have self-awareness, to be like, why am I a certain way? Why am I scarce about money? Why do I worry so much about these purchases I do on a daily basis? Oh, well, my parents always used to fight about money. And they always used to say how money didn't grow on trees and save for a rainy day, and all these certain philosophies that I now turned into beliefs that are now operating through my life and not getting me the destination, the destined result. So a couple things people can do is, one, take audit of your life, take audit of your thoughts, take audit of your patterns, your rituals, because chances are, if you're not where you want in life, it's your fault. And the second that you can take ownership over that, that's the second that you can change it. Because if you're blaming who president is, if you're blaming the economy, if you're blaming your sales manager, if you're blaming the area that you were assigned, if you're blaming, the tax rate, or who's in the government, then guess who has the power? All these external forces that you have no control over. But if you can say, hey, all the good things in my life, I've created. All the bad things in my life, I've created. Then you're standing as source. You're in an empowered state and you have the opportunity to change that. But until people take full responsibility for all the things in their life, which is a hard pill to swallow, they're never going to have that empowered state in order to do something about it to change it.
Those are a lot of nuggets. How could somebody, I guess, start? That's value, right? So it's just like, this is the co-founder of Sunder. You could reach out to him. You get me. If he hasn't followed you on Instagram, for my small little following, because I don't follow a lot of people. You probably, out of hundreds of thousands of people, you probably have the people that want to do the most and are probably exchanging value with you, and just healthy relationships. Because there's people that just like, you give them stuff and they just come and fill up their cup more, like Brad says. It's just like, how could somebody, I guess, start going in that direction? Like, in going in, like, would you just tell them to just jump in the D2D job? But like, if they want to maybe like step into it a bit more, like, how could somebody do that? Like, you have a couple of books that you like, you get me, or starting off maybe before, I don't know, if you always had a lot of positive affirmation growing up or whatever it was, but somebody, so they themselves can level up, you get me,
Yeah.
from where you're at, and model it.
Yeah. So first thing that you need to do is you need to change the association. You need to change the input that's going into your mind. And all these things are free, by the way, right? You don't need to go buy a $10,000 mastermind. You don't got to go to a Grant Cardone event, right? All these things are good, but to start using YouTube Academy, start using Audible Academy, YouTube University. Like, there's all these free resources that we have so much access to that cost absolutely nothing, just a little bit of time, that could start reconditioning our mind, right? The person that's sitting on the couch, who hates their job, who's not happy in their relationship, who is living paycheck to paycheck, they need to massively shift where their focus goes, right? They're focusing on all the bad things that are going on in their life. You need to start tuning into good information, tune into abundance and inspiration, because that's going to give you the right input in order for you to start taking the right step forward. So first thing, change the things that you're listening to, change the things that you're seeing. Stop watching the news. Put some motivational stuff on. Literally type in YouTube motivation and listen to one of those a day for a couple of weeks and see how different your day starts out. Do they have a morning routine? Do they have a nightly routine? So I would say changing your input, changing the information going on in your mind is really important. Information changes situations. When you start to change the info going in, when you start changing that, your lens of the world starts changing, and you stop looking at all the negative and all the stuff that's not working, and you start to look at all the stuff that has potential and that you can actually start making things happen. That's the first thing. Second thing is, you want to change your environment. You got to do something to get into a conducive environment. That environment could be your home life. Are you watching the news every single day, right? Does your girlfriend not support you? You need to change your environment, because your home, your environment is your sanctuary, or it should be. It should be what fills you up. It should be what pours into you. And if you don't have a conducive environment, I mean, right behind me is my office. I got a vision board. I have motivational art. I have a whiteboard. I have a calendar. I have things that inspire me and things that are going to help me. If you're not planning your day, you're failing to plan, you're planning to fail, right? Like, it's just these little steps in order to like take the first step in order to start reaching into, something that's actually going to fulfill you. So change your information, change your environment, and then you need to get into some type of opportunity that is going to help you grow. Your dead-end job that you've been at for 10 years, that's not inspiring. You don't like your coworkers, you're capped on your income. It's safe and it's comfortable, but it's that alone should be a self, tell that, hey, this is not the right spot for me. So I always tell people, I may be a little biased, but you need to get into some type of self-performance industry, whether it's sales, network marketing, trading, like, do something that is uncomfortable, because it's going to help you grow. At the end of the day, if you're capped on your income, you're capped on your potential, and your boss, your manager, is essentially dictating your life. It's dictating your potential. So you need to put yourself in a situation that's going to force you to be fight or flight. That's what I did. The biggest shifts that happened to my life is when I moved to another state, or I quit my full-time job that was paying my bills for me. It's when I made those burn the boats, those do or die decisions, that I put my back against the wall and I was really able to see what I was made of. And the crazy thing about that, most people don't not succeed in life because they're not capable. It's not because they're not good looking enough. It's not because they don't have the right information. It's none of these things. It's simply because they're not willing to put themselves in an uncomfortable, vulnerable situation long enough for them to figure out what they're made of in order to win at whatever they're doing. That's it. Most people, they're just scared. They're just scared because they think their job security, or they have, responsibilities, which we all do. But there's certain ways to get out of a stuck situation by just finding the thing that calls to you, right? Go find something that will change your life, right? We all have these decisions that we go through, that like knowing that if you make that decision, or if you jump to that opportunity, or to that job, or to that state, or to that relationship, that it's going to make a positive impact in our life. But a lot of us don't do it because of out of fear, because of out of scarcity. In reality, it's just our conditioning. It's our survival brain preventing us from danger. But at the end of the day, we have to realize that we have a 10,000-year-old brain. We don't have saber-toothed tigers anymore. We don't have, famine. We don't have all these things that our brain is designed to protect us from, like our ancestors did. But the modern day saber-toothed tigers is financial security. The modern day saber-toothed tigers are going to an opportunity or going to a job and not being sure, not being safe. So we have to realize, like, that is not danger. That's actually the other side of what we need to do in order to take our life to the next level. So for everyone listening, change your association, change the input going into your mind, and try and find something that is going to grow you, that's going to stretch you, that feels uncomfortable, and just make a decision. Don't think about it, make it. Because what's the worst that's going to happen, right? You fail, great. You now gleaned all that lesson from that. And now you're able to take your life to the next level, because now you have the confidence to go to the next thing because you've already done it before. But if you're just scared and you're sitting there and you're not happy with what you're doing and you're not making a decision, then you're just going to end up comfortable, content, and you're going to die before you actually die, because your dreams will die before you.
What would be your vision right now with that, like adding to it, but on a different note, that you want to take, I guess, Sunder and like direction of your life in? Like, what would be like your life vision? Like the things you want to accomplish, like however far you've planned out, into the years coming. Like before you die, you want to maybe be a billionaire, or you want to do XYZ for XYZ, or with Sunder. But for yourself, like what are things like that you want to accomplish? Like what are some of your visions that you want to give out, that you want to perform, that you want to share to the world, that people are going to remember you with? Like what would be some of those visions that you want to impact people in?
Yeah. The cool
What's your
thing about a
visions?
vision or a why or a dream, it expands. If you would have asked me this question 5-6 years ago when I was first getting into solar, my sole vision, why, mission was to buy my parents a house, drive a nice car, have nice things, and have a good lifestyle, right? That was my sole vision. And now that I've accomplished all that, my vision's kind of expanded, right? It's almost kind of like when you're hiking or climbing a mountain and you see like this horizon, and then you finally get to the edge or the peak that you're at, and then there's a whole new horizon, right? It's never ending. It's almost like you make all this progress, but then you look and it seems like you've made no progress, because your vision continues to kind of expand as you expand, which is naturally healthy for human beings. So I would say right now, my vision, man, is focusing on financial freedom. So there's 4 types of motivators. I heard this, I thought it was really good. The first motivator is survival. Okay, why people are motivated? Survival, right? You have to pay your bills. You have to take care of your family, right? You need food, the basic necessities, water, energy, all these things that will shelter, that will provide a quality of life for the people that we love and care about. Most people in America, unless like you're homeless, which is unfortunate, but most people in America, they have that, right? Most people aren't motivated to like make sure their lights are on and stuff like that, right? They pay their bills and they do what they do. The second motivator is monetarily, right? That's kind of like your lifestyle upgrade. Once you have that survival, then it's all about, I want a nicer car, I want a nicer house, I want a nice watch, I want to go to fancy restaurants, I want to not have to look at things when I buy them. It's a very materialistic, monetary, which is cool. I was motivated by that for a really long time. A lot of our sales guys are motivated by that, which is healthy, right? We deserve to have nice things. Anyone that thinks that you shouldn't have nice things, right? I don't believe in that, because nice things motivate you, they inspire you. And once you get it, I believe it's a check mark to figure out what that next thing is. So that's the second thing, is monetarily. The third motivator, which I believe that I'm at right now, is financial freedom. Right? A car doesn't really motivate me anymore. A watch, right? I can really go to any dinner I want to. Like, these things don't really like fire me up, but the thing that fires me up is financial freedom. Meaning that if I stopped working solar today, I couldn't sustain my lifestyle, which I don't like. I can't take a year off and go to Fiji and go hang out and do whatever I need to and go do some plant medicines and stuff while still being able to sustain my lifestyle. So my goal now is financial freedom. which is making enough money passively from my investments that will essentially sustain my lifestyle. So for example, if my lifestyle, if what it costs me to live and keep my car payment, the lights on, my food, right? This lifestyle costs $30,000 a month. My goal is I need to go figure out a way to go make $30,000 a month in passive income, real estate, crypto portfolios, dividends, right? Things that are paying me every single month, no matter if I'm working them, I'm not trading time, right? My money's making me money. Then I'm technically financially free because it doesn't matter if I'm there or not. The checks are coming in and it's offsetting my overhead. Okay. And then the fourth motivator, the last one, because we all know people, whether it's like a Grant Cardone, Ed Milet, people who have all the money in the world, right? Who have enough money for their generation, their kids' generation, their kids' generation. Yet a lot of these, billionaires, people worth $500 million are working a lot harder than a lot of us right now. Why? Like what fires them up? It's not to buy a new car. It's not for financial freedom because they could retire and not do anything they want. It's impact, right? It's legacy. It's creating something that's going to live on way past they do. And that is the end game for a lot of these people. That's going to be my end game eventually once I have that financial freedom, because then I can clear up all the petty thoughts of paying bills and doing this and doing that and focus really on my end game and what's important to my life. So I would say financial freedom is one of my biggest goals right now. That's why I've been heavy in investing in real estate, learning how to invest, because it's a game, man. Making money that's just the first part of the game. And I'm not a master at it. I think I'm pretty decent at it now. The second game is keeping that money. The third game is duplicating that money. And, you have to go in levels. You can't duplicate money if you're not good at making money. But people realize, and that's actually what fires me up. What keeps me motivated now is like, hey, I know I need to make X amount of sales, or I need to do X, Y, and Z, because I know that's going to give me enough money to put a down payment on this duplex. This duplex is going to provide $1,000 a month of passive income. And I'm going to get that much closer to offsetting my overhead for that financial freedom. So I would say that is probably my biggest thing right now. And then, of course, to develop myself, speaking is a real passion of mine. It's something that I've been able to practice throughout the years of being in direct sales and network marketing and entrepreneurship. But I would say my end game, my question I asked myself, if money didn't matter, what would I be doing on a daily basis? And speaking is probably the thing that fires me up on stages. It's just sharing information, sharing knowledge, because I'm an above average person, man. No, if you knew me 10 years ago, my chances of being successful or being in this person right now were very, very limited based on my current trajectory and my skill set and my identity at that time. So seeing the transformation that I can be in my life by just applying basic principles, committing to personal development, immersing in success in business, surrounding myself with the right people, having a big why and a big vision. If I can do it, I know a lot of other people can do it. And that's really what fires me up and juices me up. That's why I appreciate doing things like this. But more importantly, I want to be on big stages, which will take time. But that's the ultimate goal.
Dude,
that was a lot.
I'm grateful to have you right now, just sharing with the audience, with myself. I think one of the easiest ways to connect with people is just collaborating with people. So I'm going to share this on the IG. So I know some of the people are probably just going to click in, they're going to tune in, and they're going to be like, oh, who's this guy? It's kind of cool, man. It's kind of fire. So maybe collaborating with Taggart or McCarthy, or maybe speaking at the D2D con. I know I'm just thinking out loud, but just being if around more people that if you're not already around them. So yeah, dude, because you're really good at speaking and you're intense, man. So
yeah, it fires me up, and that's really the goal, man. And my biggest 3 business goals this year is solar. Obviously, that's always number one. That's my cash flow. That's what I've built over the last 7 years. Real estate, that's more of a passive endeavor, right? I need the solar money in order to funnel it into real estate, make good investments, find good deals. And then personal brand is my third kind of endeavor. And you've probably seen my Instagram. I hired a full creation team. Right now I'm able to dump some of the resources that I made from my earned income into now accelerating my personal brand, because I realized for a very long time I didn't like the social media stuff. I didn't really care to be that guru speaker. I don't want to sell courses or anything like that. But then I realized the super mega successful people are on Instagram. They're investing resources and money, because at the end of the day, you could be super mega rich and successful, but if no one knows who you are, it doesn't really matter. Your level of impact is minimized. So I figured I needed to play this game of social media and Instagram, because as my brand of my online matches my offline, then I'll get more opportunities, and I'll a law of action, right? Every action has an equal reaction. At the end of the day, if you push against something enough, you're going to get some type of reaction. Most people don't push on things. They're not taking action in certain things. And if they take action, it's for a little amount of time. And if they don't see that reaction happen quickly, they think it's not doing anything. But that invisible force, the compounding effect, the slight edge, right? Those little micro things that are happening when you're taking action that you're not necessarily seeing, you're adding into that bank. For me, social media, I may not crush it. I may not, do it right away, but I know as long as I take consistent action over time and I'm intentional and I trust my gut about the content that I'm putting out, I know things are going to happen. People, places, things are going to be put into my life that are going to help support me on my vision. Why do I know this? Because the same thing that happened in solar, same thing that happened in entrepreneurship. So most people, they don't realize that those actions that they're doing every single day, right? The apple a day is better than eating 10 apples in one day, because you're not going to get the same benefit. It's that consistency. It's that slight edge, that compound effect of doing micro actions every single day over a large amount of time. And that's when big results happen. Big things don't happen in big bolts. They happen in short, compact actions and movements to eventually create this big, massive result. And then you look up 5 years from now and you're like, man, I'm super thankful I committed to that boredom of consistency, because now I'm living the life that I wanted to, versus paying the price of regret because I didn't commit to those little things each and every day.
How do you get past like that when you're trying to build like a micro habit or a new habit? How did you kind of just go out there and do that? Like what I do at the moment is I just keep doing it until it works. And eventually, through just sheer persistence and then self-correction and self-adjusting, right? Because I'm very technical. You probably already noticed that. It's like I eventually it'll just work itself out. Like it just always does. Do you have a strategy that you utilize? Because you're making like 7 figures right now, and this has worked up until now, and it's worked well. A lot of people have used it, but I'm trying to pick everything that I can and like nuances, because you talked a lot about slight edge, and I want to develop more if I don't already have any of those intricacies, like further intricacies or anything that you can polish my game up, man. Because like I'm trying to levels up. Like I always want to level up. I want to be the
We all
best
can.
that I can be. Always. Like always.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Collectively.
So yeah,
Or,
building a habit, right? There's a lot of studies on it. I don't think anyone actually knows, right? Some people say 21 days to develop a habit. Some people say 14 days. Some people say 3 months, right? No one really knows. But what everyone can agree on is it takes time to develop a habit, right? It takes time. Like for me, for example, I used to hate reading when I was in high school and college. I used to do everything that I could in order to, read the Spark Notes or read the synopsis and try and do my best to deliver for a book report. And usually I wouldn't really do really good. It wasn't until I started getting into entrepreneurship that I started to realize like reading is actually really important. And leaders are readers, readers are leaders, right? All successful people are reading, because one, the act of doing it is just really good for your brain and that commitment and that discipline to do it, but two, the information that's going in your brain. So it wasn't really up until a couple of years ago that I actually really enjoyed reading. For the first 5 years, 6 years of entrepreneurship, I used to literally have to force myself to read. I didn't like doing it at all. It was just something kind of like brushing your teeth, right? I don't like brushing my teeth, but I do it because I don't want to have bad breath, and I don't want to go to the dentist, right? I don't like brushing my teeth. If I could go without it, I would. It was the same thing with reading books. I didn't like doing it, but I knew that it was important for me. But now, after doing it for so long and actually realizing I actually enjoy it. I actually like going to a beach or going to the pool or something, or just before I go to bed and reading. So I think when it comes to habits, it's going to be uncomfortable at first, because essentially what you're doing is you have these neural pathways in your mind, right? They're kind of like if you ever went to a science class, they're like the neurons that are like transmitting back and forth in your brain. We have these neural pathways in our mind, and these neural pathways, a lot of them are really, really strong and implanted into us, right? Because when we do the same things throughout our life, right, they get really, really strong and it becomes autopilot. It's like when we breathe, or when we tie our shoe, we don't have to think about it because that neural pathway is so strong because we've been doing it our whole life. We don't have to think about it. So for a lot of us, there's some really bad, deep-rooted habits that are in us, right? Whether they're thoughts or whether they're, beliefs about certain things, that if they're not addressed, they're not going to be conducive for our life. So for me, the best way that I've done it is, one, putting awareness on that negative habit, right? I think awareness is the biggest thing, because if you're not aware of something that's going on, you can't change it. If you're not conscious of something, you can't change it, right? If you don't realize that every relationship you go to, you end up doing something bad that causes the relationship to break up, then you're not going to be able to change it because you're not aware of it. So put awareness on whatever that belief is or whatever that habit is, and then go to work of slowly every single day trying to remove it and reinforcing something else. Like for me, I write down my to-do list every single night before I go to bed. I have a whiteboard next to my bed, small whiteboard with a marker, and I write down the top 5 or 10 things that I need to get done, right? Whether it's go to the dentist, whether it's close this deal, right? Because when I wake up in the morning, I don't want to think about what I have to do. I just take a picture of it and then I'm out, right? I'm good to go and I can just use that. I don't want to, waste time and, use that mental energy. But it took me a really long time to develop that craft, right? At first, I would, just write down a few things, but then doing it over time, now it's just part of me. Now it's weird if I don't do it. So I think it's all about starting small, right? Just doing little things, starting small in that habit, right? Like for reading, for example, I do 10 pages a day every single night minimum. It's just like it's just it's just something I do. But at first it was a page. It was just opening the book. And then when I got a page down, then I was able to do 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages, so on and so forth. Same thing. I do a gratitude journal every night before I go to bed. At first it was like one thing I'm grateful for and it was really hard. Now it's just autopilot. So it's just about doing the things that you should be doing, starting small, not putting these big expectations that if you don't figure it out in a year or in a week or 2 weeks, that you're going to stop, and just trust the process. Trust that as long as you do something consistently, it doesn't matter how big and small, over time, you're going to develop that habit. You're going to develop that neural pathway, and then you're not going to have to think about it anymore.
How do you, what are some of the things that you do to, I guess, with that, to like develop that faster? Like, because what are more strategies that you do that allow you to be a higher performer, to perform at higher levels? Because I want to perform at higher levels, dude. Like that 5 to 10 things. It's like I'm over here just like just shooting things out. Like, all right, cool. I'm gonna fix this part. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna improve that. But this is like better. So it's like, what else can you do to improve like your performance? Because I want to improve my performance more.
You got to focus on the things that are actually going to like drive what you're trying to accomplish, right? A lot of people, some people, right, especially overperformers, they're all over the place, right? They got to do this and they got to do this, or they're trading Forex, they're investing in stocks, they're knocking doors, you're doing this life insurance thing on the side, right? They're all over the place doing all these different things.
We're going to catch one rabbit before we catch seven.
Yeah, you get it, right? The issue is if you're investing all this, we only have so much energy in a day, right? Think of us like a video game, right? We have 100 points of energy every single day. Every life that we get throughout the day, we have 100 points of energy. How we invest that energy is going to either give us the ROI or the lack of ROI on what we're doing. So if we're over here putting 10 points of energy in this, 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 we're not going to get much of an ROI. So for me, I'm big on immersion. Tony Robbins talks about this a lot, immersing yourself in whatever you're doing. For me, the last 7 years, it's been solar. That's what I've immersed myself into. I didn't do anything else. And there's a season of my life where I had a shitty relationship. I had a girlfriend for 6 years. Wasn't a good boyfriend. I didn't have any other friends when I was living out of state. And this is all I cared about. And some people will be like, well, you got to have balance. But for me, that was the season of my life that I needed in order to generate that momentum, where now I have a bit more balance because now I just have to sustain that momentum and continue to accelerate that momentum. But in order to get that ball rolling, you need massive intention, massive energy, and massive action. Once the ball's rolling, then you can kind of, figure out a better, more sustainable action plan. But most people don't get that ball rolling because they're not willing to surrender to that experience. So immersion's big. Making sure that you're investing your energy, your time into things that are actually going to get an ROI, right? You've heard of the 80-20 rule. It's the same thing in our organization. 20% of the organization is going to do 80% of the business, right? 20% of the things that you're doing on a daily basis is going to get you 80% of the results. So then it's, where am I spending my time? Am I spending my time on the 20% that's going to give me the biggest ROI, or am I spending my time on the 80%? Are we doing money-making activities, right? Jim Rohn talks about major time and minor time. You don't want to spend major time doing minor things, right? You want to spend major time doing major things because you're going to get the biggest ROI. So again, I think it comes down to getting clear. I think it gets down to figuring out what things in your business, in your life that you care about, right? Whether it's fitness, right? for me, I've been neglecting fitness for like the last 3 or 4 years. And 2 years ago, I was like, yo, I'm in a point in my life now where I want to make sure I'm well balanced, because I understand that my body, the thing, motion creates emotion. If I invest in my body, that investment is going to bleed into other aspects of my life. So understanding the season you're in is really important. Sometimes it's a season, winter, right? In winter, you have to realize, hey, you're in a winter. Things may not go great, but just know that spring is coming, fall is coming, summer is coming, right? If you're in summer, no, massive action, right? Fall, you're reaping, right? So it's understanding the seasons of our life and acting accordingly, right? You don't want to think you're going to get big results if you're having a winter, because you're going to psych yourself out, and you're going to be thinking negative now, and like you're going to spiral, when in reality it's just a small winter you're going through. So just be optimistic, be consistent, continue to use that action to get a reaction, so when your season is over, you're going to have those results. So there's a lot of things we can talk about, man, but immersion in whatever you do is super important, because if you want to become really good at something, it takes a freak ton of work. It takes a ton of work, a ton of energy, a ton of sacrifice. And most people, they're not willing to sacrifice. One thing that I was taught is like, Steven, what's the thing right now that you value most in your free time, right? Is it golf? Is it watching Netflix? Is it hanging out with your girlfriend? Is it hanging out with your family? Is it, playing video games? You have to be willing to give that up in order for you to go up in whatever you're trying to pursue. Not forever. I remember throwing my Xbox out. I remember canceling my Netflix subscription when I first started, because I was all in. I was willing to do whatever it takes in order for me to accomplish my goals and dreams. And most people aren't willing to make that trade-off. Most people aren't willing to sacrifice their current life for their future life. Therefore, they're never able to get to where they want to go.
Boom. See, I don't have the bomb sound effects.
Not yet. We'll get there.
Or the AK-47s or dynamites or anything like that.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Boom. So, yeah, dude, that is so valuable. Okay. So what are some things that, because I know one thing with Sunder is that you guys pretty much give like an opportunity to just about like anybody that is willing to grow and has a growth mindset selectively, right? You don't take on everybody, I would imagine, but it's like as long as people have like a growth mindset and they're just good humans, you kind of just give them an opportunity, man. It's like, hey, man, let's help you out. Adam Webb's got one of the courses on the NZ, so
Yep.
and all and everything together. So, what are some things that have made you a better leader and a better sales professional overall? I know we've done like a little master class here where if people apply some of these, they'll probably jump to like 6 figures quickly, going on to 7 figures.
Yeah. So I think the challenge
more.
with like, yeah, that's the goal. More is always the goal. I think you have to understand where you're at, right? Like for someone to go from $40,000 a year to $500,000 a year is very unrealistic, right? Because it's not unrealistic in terms of their ability to do it. It's unrealistic in terms of their belief that they're able to do it. Therefore, they're not going to take actions, because at the end of the day, we're never going to outperform our belief level. The reason that I'm not making $100 million a year, the reason you're not making whatever your income goal is, it's not because we can't do it. It's because deep down, we don't believe we're worth that income yet. So what I try and focus on, because what worked for my life, is raising people's belief level, right? The identity, I think, is super important. So think of like your identity as like a thermostat on the wall. And you may have heard this before in one of my videos.
How do you raise your identity? Like, what are some ways that you do? Because I'm always trying to do that. Like, well, how do you do that?
So the first thing is realizing that like your identity controls your external results, right? Just like the thermostat, how if you set that thing to 70, it doesn't matter what external heat comes into the room, what great things happen in your life, that thermostat's going to kick on and unconsciously cool your life back down to whatever that's set to, right? That could look like accident. That could look like a coincidence, but in reality, it's your unconscious mind self-sabotaging you in order for hitting your goals. Me and you both know people who have maybe made $100,000, $250,000, $500,000, made a lot of success quickly, but then they're never able to get back to that level of success. Why? Because their level of income outperformed their thermostat, their identity. Therefore, they found a way to cool themselves back down to what they actually believe they deserve. So some things in order to change that thermostat, raise up your temperature in terms of your life. Again, proximity, we talked about this, but proximity is power. If you're a 70 degreer in business and you want to get to a 90 degreer or to an 80 degreer, you want to go hang around someone 85, 90, 95 degrees, right? Whether that's just asking them to take them to lunch, whether that's paying for a mastermind, whether that's digesting content on YouTube. because what's happening there is just by being in proximity to them, your temperature is going to heat up as long as you're mindful, because you're going to pick up on certain things. It's almost like by osmosis, right? We're picking up these unconscious things that are going to help raise. That's what happened to me. I was a 40-degreer in college. I saw some dude making $30,000 a month smoking a bong. Instantly, I went to 60 degrees. My belief level went up and my identity went up. It's first thing. Second thing is you want to shock your system. Okay. Have you taken like a cold bath before, like an ice bath? Yeah. Okay. So the reason people take ice baths is to essentially shock your system. There's all these health benefits and good things, but essentially what's happening is you're putting your neural system into a fight or flight mentality. Therefore, it's triggering all these things in your body to perform at a higher level. The same is true in business. If you want to go from a 70-degree in business to a 90-degree, you want to shock your system. You want to shock your business. How do you do that? You take massive amounts of action in a short amount of time. Okay, so if you're used to knocking 30 doors a day for 5 days a week, you need to be knocking 60 doors a day for 6 days a week. You don't have to do that forever, but if you can do that for a couple of weeks or a month, what's happening is you're actually conditioning your mind to be like, oh, I'm doing what the top performers are doing. Therefore, I am a top performer and I should be getting top performer results. You're almost kind of tricking your mindset to believe that you're something that you're technically not at the moment. You know, it's why people say you should always be the first one in the gym and the last one out, or you should be the first one at the office and the last one out. Obviously, you're getting more time in to be productive at your craft. But more importantly, by you being the first one in and the last one out, you're noticing that the people coming in before you and leaving before you, or after you and leaving before you, you're working harder than those people. So unconsciously, what you're telling yourself and your self-talk is that you deserve success more than the person to the left and the person to your right, right? So you want to shock your system into raising that thermostat by taking big bursts of action in a short amount of time. And then the final thing is your story. You need to rewrite that story. A lot of us, the reason we're not winning in life or we're not able to, reach certain benchmarks financially in a business, fitness, whatever, is because we keep telling ourselves an old story that's not necessarily true anymore. Oh, the reason that, I can't lose these 20 pounds is because my mom's fat, my grandma's fat, I don't understand how to eat health, right? You're telling yourself these stories. And the issue is you can't create a new identity with an old story. So you have to rewrite, you have to identify whatever that limiting belief, that story is that you continue to tell yourself to self-justify on why you're not able to get the result that you're looking for. You have to let go of that. Because ultimately, no one cares. The only person that cares about your limited story is you. And you have to realize that's actually holding you back. Because if you keep telling yourself, well, I would be successful, but this one manager, he burned me. And then after that, I went to another company and they treated me bad and yada, yada, yada. You're actually preventing yourself from accomplishing what you're wanting to because you're holding on to that reason on why you're not successful. Therefore, you're attracting more of that. So quick 3 steps to raise your identity: proximity, shock your system, and let go of that old story.
How do you want to finish off the episode, Stephen?
Yeah, man, I would just say,
I know the audience did too.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for having me on, man. I would just tell people, like, you see me today, right? Or you watch all these influencers or, these people that are crushing it on social media, are crushing it in business. And you're like, I could never be like those people. Look how good talking he is, or, look at him, or look how much money he has and all this stuff. And the issue, what happens with this influencer life or looking at successful people, you almost put these people on a pedestal, right? This is what I used to do. I used to put people on a pedestal, basically saying, oh, I can never get that level of income because look how good of a public speaker he is, or look how good of a communicator is, or look how much information he knows. And the issue is when you put people on a pedestal, you're actually creating a distinction. You're creating separation from you and that ideal of being successful. Because you're like, oh, well, I'm creating a narrative in your mind saying, oh, the reason that he's successful is because of that. And because he's that, I can never get that. And you put people on this pedestal. That's not true. Like, that's going to be a thing that self-sabotages yourself. You have to realize that any successful person that you've seen today started at a low identity, low self-esteem. And the reason that they're doing so well is because they started so low. They probably had to work 2, 3, 4, 5 times as hard in order to develop the skill sets in order to get to that level of success. So I would just tell your listeners, I would invite them to not put people on a pedestal. Realize that every single person you look up to, every single person who's making killer income that you desire, you can do it too. You can take care of your family. You can buy your parents a house. You can travel the world. You can live an awesome lifestyle while being a good person. as long as you commit to the daily practices, as long as you have a good attitude, as long as you're committed to success, as long as you don't allow your negative energy in your mind to take over your positive energy. Don't put people on a pedestal. Realize if one person can do it, you can do it, and just commit. You know, the only way that you lose in business, success in life, is if you quit or if you don't do anything. As long as you wake up every single day with a positive attitude, with a fresh outlook. Some days are harder than others, but as long as the majority of the days you wake up positive and you take action, doesn't matter how big or little the action is, but as long as you're moving forward every single day, you're eventually going to get there as long as you don't give up.
So Stephen, how could we find you online? I know you got your social media here. I'm going to leave it in the description right now as well.
For sure. Instagram, Stephen Cohen, first and last name, pretty simple, StevenCohen. I just revamped my social media. So fire content coming at you guys every single day. That's basically the platform I live the most, Instagram. Stephen Cohen on Facebook if you want to connect. And yeah, would always love to connect to like-minded people. If you guys want to chat, pick my brain, collab, just DM me, and would love to collab.
We will catch you guys in the next episode of Life by Design. We
Peace,
trust
guys.
Stephen Cohen. He's the co-founder of Sunder. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, Stephen. And we'll catch everybody else now.
Thank you.